Will Baker get his starting job back? You hear that?
So I think he will. I think. Ain't no guarantees. I mean, now, if you are a Browns fan, you probably don't want Baker to get a starting job back anytime soon. Because Case Keenum, when Kevin Stefanski was his quarterback coach in 2017 for the Minnesota Vikings, y'all remember the Minnesota Miracle, Case Keenum led the Minnesota Vikings to a 12-4 record, playoffs included. They were 13-3 in the regular season. Case Keenum took over for a former number 1 overall pick. Case Keenum took over for a former Oklahoma quarterback. Case Keenum took over for a former Heisman winner. I didn't even prep that in the notes. That just came to me now. Case Keenum took over for Sam Bradford and led the Vikings to the playoffs, to a playoff win, to a miraculous playoff win, if you will. So if you are a Browns fan, you shouldn't rush to give Baker Mayfield his job back. And in all honesty, you might want to anticipate he won't get it back. Kevin Stefanski is already fond of Case Keenum. We know that. That's why Case Keenum is not only on the roster, but making $6 million as a backup quarterback. Let's not get it twisted how much money that is for a backup quarterback. Case Keenum has succeeded under Kevin Stefanski's tutelage. He wasn't the OC, that was Pat Shurmur. He wasn't the head coach, that was Zimmer, but he was still the quarterback coach. So Case Keenum has succeeded under Stefanski's tutelage. I do not think Baker Mayfield will get his job back very soon, primarily because of the shoulder injury. But if you're a Browns fan, you should probably want to see what Case Keenum can go ahead and cook up. I want to, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God. I know in our industry, people getting tired of all these hot takes, but nobody could get tired of a hot question right here. And this question, will Baker get his starting job back? I thought it was premature. We were prepping for this. I heard the question this morning. I said, well, wait a minute. I know that Baker's not starting, but he's still the starter. Like when I was a starter in the league, there were games I didn't start. And I'd be damned if I ever watched the show and they said, will Marcellus ever get his starting job back? I'm like, I haven't even missed the game yet. Woo, it feels a little premature. But then you start to think, and then you start to realize, and then you start to sound like Acho. Like, wait a minute. Not only should Case Keenum start this game, but give him a little runway just to see what Case Keenum can do. Because Case is going to make a case for Case to be the starter.
Was that an original one, or does that come from your producer?
Come on, man. I'm triple OG.
Did it come from your producer or not?
That was actually me. That wasn't Eric B. That was Rakim. Okay, let's get some. Now let's talk about this dynamic, what's really happening right now. Because I know Baker Mayfield and what he's feeling right now. He's feeling like, oh, man, I'm going to mess up. Not mess up in terms of my performances going forward. Is he going to come back in terms of health? I don't know. I had a torn labrum. That's the end-all, be-all of shoulder injuries. Look, here's the pecking order of shoulder injuries.
Talk to me.
You get an AC joint. I used to get that. Get the long needle, longer than your arm injected. Where it hurt, right there. Okay, we're going to give it something. I'm good. You can get that shaved down. Then you get the rotator cuff. That messes with quarterbacks. Trust me, I understand that. But I had that as well. Still was out there getting sacks and doing rip moves, all that. But then that labrum came, and they went and knocked on me and said, Marcellus, that's it. That no more play. And I was like, oh, torn labrum. It's his non-throwing shoulder, but how does that affect him? The shoulder goes from here, which is proper balance, proper structure. Look, you can be in the pocket, stand tall, to this. Now, where are those balls going if you're in Cleveland? Lake Erie? They gone, dog. They are in Lake Erie in terms of accuracy. What is Case Keenum going to do in terms of pressure? He's going to present a case to not only the team, but to the organization that, hey, well, we're going to spend maybe $200 million on this when we can get a facsimile, something approximate to that, and spend lesser than. Case Keenum's going to give them something that they can look at in an alternate universe that may be worth the value of what Case Keenum's going to provide.
Let's break down for y'all, the viewers, what other shows might not, which are the hard truths. I love Baker Mayfield. I love the Cleveland Browns. Remember, Browns drafted me, so y'all have my affinity for life. But I also got to tell y'all these hard truths. The NFL does not want to pay players. Teams don't want to. They will if they have to. You know, remember that game, Mercy?
Mercy.
You playing with somebody and, mercy. You got me.
Yeah.
That's all contract negotiations are. Contract negotiations are a game of mercy, except you are always the younger brother as a player. And the older brother is the team. And the older brother will more than likely bend that arm, twist that wrist, contort that knuckle until you say, mercy.
Yeah, right.
Well, Baker Mayfield actually has the Browns a little bit as the younger brother. Baker Mayfield led the Browns to the playoffs, first time since 02. Baker Mayfield led the Browns to 11 wins, first time since, I believe, 02 again. Baker Mayfield led the Browns to a playoff win, first time since 94. So Baker has all the leverage. But
what?
If you get bench Baker because of a shoulder injury, and we replace you with a 33-year-old Case Keenum, and he does what you were doing, which wasn't very impressive this season.
Nah.
6 touchdown passes. That's 1 touchdown pass a game. 3 interceptions. And you've lost 2 games in a row. You're currently sitting at 500, 3-3. We will now get to identify, Baker, how much value are you adding? I personally want to believe it is a lot. But, so you've been in this position before, at least we've talked about these positions before. You never want to get replaced because now we can accurately dictate your value. When you're currently there, we assume, man, Baker, they went 11-5 because of you last year. We assume that the Browns are legit contenders with Baker at the helm. We assume, man, Browns, y'all don't want to go back to what you had before, to the Johnny Manziels of the world, to the Brandon Whedons of the world. But we don't have to assume anymore. And you know what they say about assuming?
But it make a what?
It only makes a out of you and me.
Man, you sound like
and now we ain't got to assume. Now we can see exactly how much value Baker Mayfield is adding. So if you are a Browns fan, and but being a Browns fan, say you Andrew Berry, GM of the Browns, great guy, phenomenal guy, brilliant mind. He was over at Philly. I know Andrew Berry. He's looking like, man, I might be able to save a couple dollars if Case Keenum balls, because now Baker Mayfield, you no longer have leverage. We have leverage once again.
Man, damn Baker Mayfield in that position. And damn, this show is the one to highlight that position. Emotional content is what we're giving this actual example, and that's what I love about doing this show. In life, and especially in sports, especially football, non-guaranteed contracts, never let the price exceed the value. Okay, you know what that means? If you're Baker Mayfield, you can never let them think that they were going to pay you something that you weren't worth. And now they're going to get to see what you were worth. Oh, that's a problem. God, dog, Baker Mayfield. Here's the thing. $200 million I was going to get if everything just kept rolling, right? Status quo. Here's the problem. Now you're not in the lineup. Can anybody else hand the ball off to these running backs and get us some victories? Because that's what Baker Mayfield ended up being in terms of a starting quarterback. He wasn't a guy who was out there prolific in the pocket. He wasn't a guy that was lighting up in terms of passing statistics. 26th in passing offense. Can we get somebody who's cheaper than $200 million that can hand the ball off and still have us 26th ranked in passing offense? I think they can. And the guy is Case Keenum. Let's highlight some of the stats you brought up about Case Keenum, 2017 Minnesota versus this year Baker Mayfield. I wonder who had a higher win percentage. You already know. Completion percentage. You already know. Passing yards per game. You already know. Passer rating. You already know. And they had the same damn coach in Kevin Stefanski. That is a problem. It's the same problem to everyone in this world who's trying to really internalize what we're talking about. Man, we didn't play football. What's the problem? Hey, he's the starter. You never lose your job to injury. Y'all stopped saying that, right, a couple years ago when we saw Colin Kaepernick come in, Alex Smith, and the concussions. You can't lose your job because of injury. It's the same issue that everyone in this world has when they have credit and credit cards versus cash. Okay, let's go into the store. Let's go into the store, please. Let's go into the store. Now, you're going to spend what you're going to spend. But if you got a credit card, they have already shown, not only economists, but psychologists, that if you ain't got cash, something that you could really touch and feel, then you're going to spend a little bit more because I ain't got to really deal with that right now. Baker Mayfield was spending money that he didn't have just yet. The organization was about to spend money in credit because they were like, Baker Mayfield has changed the fortunes. Baker Mayfield is our new credit card. He's likable. Our fan base loves him. He's changed our fortunes. Okay, put the card down, whatever you need, Baker Mayfield. And then here come Case Keenum, like, no, I got this. And then he pulled out one of those Wesley Snipes, Nino Brown wads. Like, it ain't going to cost you that much. Have you ever got a check? All right, this is going to sound a little elitist, but sometimes I am. You ever get a check for $100,000 in your life?
What's crazy? I got one after the National Football League.
There it is. Well, see, that counts. Congratulations. Ooh, all right, you got $100,000. I think that means something. $100,000. A $100,000 check, right?
A check like that, crazy.
Have you ever had $100,000 cash in your life? Holding it. Just holding it.
Yes, but I didn't own, it wasn't mine.
Have you ever had your own?
No.
Ah. Me either. But the point is this. I have seen someone who has said, when they get a check, all right, ball it up. Here you go. Deposit that. When they get that wad, they hold on to it differently. Case Keenum is now going to present them a cash offer. That's going to be less. That's going to actually impact the moment more. And it's going to pinch them in a little bit different way than that credit card of Baker.
I love that take, and I apologize for the elitism.
Yeah, we got it.
We just, with 30 seconds, talking about $100,000 checks.
I mean,
I just got mine. He lived on his, okay? We're in different
Got this old suit off of that.
Here's what I have to do, though.
Okay.
I'm not going to act as though, I'm not going to make the same ignorant mistake I made last year when Andy Dalton was replacing Dak Prescott, and I was like, oh, the Cowboys ain't going to miss a beat. Andy Dalton might actually make the, okay. But we have to remember that Baker Mayfield is not Dak Prescott. And Case Keenum is actually probably the equivalent of Andy Dalton. Also, for those that look and say, well, Case Keenum was 0-8 as a starter in Washington, remember, that was Jay Gruden's last year as a head coach.
Okay.
That was Callahan's last year as a head coach. Well, Case Keenum wasn't good in Denver either. That was Vance Joseph's last little stint as a head man. So it's not as though Case Keenum is not a good quarterback for those that want to look at the numbers and think that he just had one great year. It's when you give Case Keenum a good defense, good enough defense, and the Browns' defense by no means is great.
Okay.
But they can force some fumbles because of Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney's been in his bag. They can be opportunistic. When you give Case Keenum a good running game and a safe play-action pass, take shots, high percentage, completion percentage, that is when Case Keenum can lead your team to victories. Remember, that year Case Keenum was a starter, his colleagues, his peers ranked him the 51st best player in the NFL, the 51st best player in the National Football League. If I'm not mistaken, Baker Mayfield peaked at being ranked in the 70s this past season. Again, like Marcellus Wiley said, I don't talk cash and checks, I talk chips at the casino. It's much easier to play a $5,000 chip. I played several $5,000 chips. I done paid several $10,000 hands. But I would never put up $5,000 cash or $10,000 cash. And like Sal just said, you bring up a good point.
Yes.
Baker Mayfield was about to win off credit. We're going to find out if it's cash.
4,970. You would never in your life. And just say, okay, deal me whatever you want to. Hell no. And that's the thing. You think you're thinking like that? Baker Mayfield's thinking just like that as well. And quietly, the organization is sitting back saying, wait a minute, this may be a discount for us. Let me tell you, who knows the backup better than even the backup maybe? The starter. The starter in this position, Baker Mayfield, knows how good his backup is. That's why Baker Mayfield kept saying, I know my own body. Nobody else could tell me I can't play. Baker Mayfield wanted to play with a torn labrum. Lets you know he does not want to miss a beat because we're going to be able to see who's next. On any team that is struggling, lower than expectations, the most popular player is always that backup quarterback. Well, we're going to see not only how popular, but how productive that backup is.